to the Room of Requirement. Today we are going to be taking a little bit of a deep dive into the Tree of Life, Kabbalah, consciousness, and the path to enlightenment. So let's go ahead and dive in. Among all mystical systems, few have had as much influence upon Western spirituality as Kabbalah. It has shaped ceremonial magic, astrology, alchemy, Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, Christian mysticism, Hermetic philosophy, and countless occult traditions. Yet despite its influence, Kabbalah is often misunderstood. Some see it as merely a form of Jewish mysticism. Others view it as a magical system, while still others approach it as a philosophy or psychology. In truth, Kabbalah is all of these things and more. At its heart, Kabbalah seeks to answer humanity's oldest questions. What is God? How did creation emerge? Why do we exist? How does the soul descend into matter? And how does it return to its divine source? The Kabbalists believe that beneath the visible world exists a hidden architecture through which divine consciousness manifests reality itself. This hidden architecture became known as the Tree of Life, and for centuries, mystics have studied it as a map of creation, consciousness, and spiritual enlightenment. The word Kabbalah comes from the Hebrew word Kabbal, meaning to receive or that which is received. Traditionally, it referred to sacred wisdom passed from teacher to student through generations. Kabbalah concerns itself with hidden teachings regarding God, creation, angels, the soul, spiritual ascent, and the mysteries concealed within Scripture. Unlike ordinary religious study, Kabbalah sought direct understanding of divine reality. It was not merely concerned with belief, but with experience. Kabbalists viewed Scripture as a living revelation in which every letter, word, number, and story contained layers of mystical meaning waiting to be uncovered. The roots of Kabbalah stretch deep into ancient Judaism. Although the formal Kabbalistic tradition emerged during the medieval period, many of its concepts can be traced back much earlier. Ancient Jewish mystics contemplated visionary passages found within Scripture, particularly the visions of the prophet Ezekiel, who described angelic beings, wheels of fire, celestial realms, and the throne of God. These visions inspired what became known as Merkava mysticism or chariot mysticism, whose practitioners sought ascent through heavenly realms to approach the divine presence. Over centuries, these mystical teachings developed into what would eventually become Kabbalistic tradition. To understand Kabbalah, one must first understand the Torah and the Talmud. The Torah consists of first 5 books traditionally attributed to Moses: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. For most readers, these books contain history, laws, and religious teachings. For the Kabbalists, however, the Torah is the blueprint of creation itself. Many Kabbalists taught that the Torah existed before the universe and that God used it as the pattern through which creation unfolded. Every Hebrew letter is sacred, and every word contains multiple layers of meaning. Alongside the Torah stands the Talmud, a vast collection of rabbinical discussions, legal rulings, interpretations, and commentaries. While Kabbalah is distinct from the Talmud, it emerged from the same culture of profound scriptural study. Jewish scholars spent centuries examining Scripture in search of deeper truths, creating the environment from which Kabbalah would emerge. One of the earliest Kabbalistic texts is the Sefer Yetzirah, or Book of Formation. This mysterious work teaches that God created the universe through the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and 10 primordial emanations. Here we encounter one of Kabbalah's most profound ideas. Creation occurs through consciousness, vibration, language, number, and sacred geometry. The Hebrew letters are viewed not merely as symbols, but as living creative forces through which reality itself is spoken into existence. The most influential text of classical Kabbalah is the Zohar, meaning Book of Splendor. Emerging in medieval Spain, it transformed scattered mystical teachings into a complete spiritual system. Through mystical commentary on Scripture, It explores divine emanations, angelic hierarchies, reincarnation, the soul, spiritual ascent, and the hidden structure of reality. At the center of the Kabbalistic thought is the concept of the Ein Sof, meaning without end. Ein Sof represents the infinite, unknowable aspect of God beyond all description, form, limitation, thought, or language. It exists beyond time, space, and comprehension. Because the infinite cannot directly create the finite, Kabbalah teaches that divine consciousness unfolds through a series of emanations that gradually becomes more defined until the physical universe emerges. These emanations form the Tree of Life. Most people are introduced to the Tree of Life as a diagram consisting of 10 spheres connected by 22 paths. For the Kabbalist, however, it is much more than a symbol. The Tree of Life is simultaneously a map of God, a map of creation, a map of the soul, a map of consciousness, and a map of enlightenment. It explains how divine consciousness descends into matter and how the soul can return to conscious union and with its source. Each sephira represents both a stage in the unfolding of creation and a level of consciousness within the human being. For this reason, the tree became one of the most important initiatory tools in just Jewish mysticism, Hermetic philosophy, Rosicrucianism, and ceremonial magic. The Tree of Life is often called the blueprint of creation, but it is equally accurate to describe it as a map of enlightenment. The descent from the highest sephira to the lowest illustrates how divine consciousness unfolds into manifestation, while the spiritual journey reverses that process as the soul ascends through increasingly refined levels of awareness. Every sephira represents a lesson to be integrated, every path represents a stage of development, and every imbalance reveals an opportunity for growth. The initiate gradually moves from identification with the material world towards realization of the higher self, and ultimately toward conscious union with the divine. So I wanted to add a picture of the Tree of Life. I'm sure most of you guys have seen this, but this is my favorite iteration of the Tree of Life. I actually have this framed and hanging right above me. And this is the one that I learned from when I started learning about Kabbalah. But I wanted to show this one. I like this one in particular because it shows Da'ath. Some don't show Da'ath, which is the hidden Sephiro or the 11th Sephiro. And it represents hidden knowledge. And then it has the three levels on top of Kether, which is the Ein Sof R, or limitless light, the Ein Sof, which is limitless, and the Ein, which is the nothing or the no thing. The Tree of Life consists of 10 spheres known as Sephiroth. These Sephiroth are not merely locations on a diagram, but represent stages in the unfolding of creation. Levels of consciousness, archetypal forces, and spiritual lessons that exist both within the universe and within the human soul. Each Sephira possesses a divine name, an archangel, a planetary correspondence, symbolic colors, and a particular mode of consciousness. Together, they form the structure through which divine consciousness descends into manifestation and through which the soul ascends back toward the divine. Keter is the first emanation from the infinite and represents pure divine unity. It is the point where the unknowable begins to become knowable and where creation first emerges from the Ein Sof. Keter is associated with mystical union, non-dual awareness, transcendence, and direct experience of the divine beyond all forms and distinctions. Its divine name is Ehie, meaning I am. Its archangel is Metatron, often regarded as the highest of the archangels in the celestial scribe. Its correspondence is the premium mobile, the first movement of creation, and its color is brilliant white light. Keter teaches that all apparent separation ultimately emerges from a single divine source, and that unity underlies all existence. Chokmah represents the first movement of divine energy into manifestation and is often described as pure wisdom, inspiration, and creative force. It embodies direct spiritual revelation before ideas have taken form and is associated with intuition, illumination, and dynamic power. Chokmah is often viewed as the archetypal divine father and the active principle of creation. Its divine name is Yah. Its archangel is Raziel, keeper of the divine mysteries and hidden wisdom. Its correspondence encompasses the entire zodiac, and its color is silver gray. Chokmah teaches that true wisdom arises through direct experience of higher consciousness rather than through intellectual analysis alone. Binah. Binah is the great mother who receives the dynamic force of Chokmah and gives it structure, form, and limitation. It represents contemplation, understanding, discernment, sacred intelligence, and the ability to transform inspiration into something tangible. Binah is associated with the womb of creation and the process through which ideas become form. Its divine name is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Elohim. Its archangel is Zaphkiel. Its planetary correspondence is Saturn, and its colors are black, indigo, and deep crimson. Binah teaches that wisdom must be grounded in understanding and that structure is necessary for manifestation. Chesed represents expansion, benevolence, compassion, abundance, and the sustaining power of creation. It is the force that encourages growth and expresses divine love through generosity and protection. Chesed is associated with faith, trust, leadership, and spiritual authority used for the benefit of others. Its divine name is El. Its archangel is Zadkiel. Its planetary correspondence is Jupiter, and its color is royal blue. Chesed teaches that life flourishes through generosity, mercy, and alignment with higher principles. Gevurah. Gevurah represents strength, discipline, judgment, courage, and the power to establish necessary boundaries. It balances the expansive nature of Chesed and ensures that growth occurs with order and purpose. Gevurah is the first that removes obstacles, destroys illusions, and demands accountability. Its divine name is Elohim Gabor. Its archangel is Kamael. Its planetary correspondence is Mars, and its color is scarlet red. Gevurah teaches that true spiritual development requires discipline, responsibility, and the courage to remove what no longer serves the soul's evolution. Tiphereth is the heart of the tree of life and the point of harmony between all opposing forces. It is associated with the higher self, spiritual awakening, enlightenment, solar consciousness, sacrifice, redemption, and the realization of one's divine nature. Within many Western esoteric traditions, Tiphereth is associated with the attainment known as knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel. Its divine name is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, or Yehovah Elovadaat. Its archangel is Raphael. Its planetary correspondence is the sun, and its color is golden yellow. Tiphereth teaches the integration of the personality with the soul and marks the beginning of conscious spiritual realization. Netzach represents emotion, passion, creativity, beauty, desire, devotion, and the power of inspiration. It governs the emotional and artistic dimensions of consciousness and repels how love and feeling can become vehicles for spiritual growth. Netzach is often associated with nature, aesthetics, relationships, and the power of attraction. Its divine name is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Zavaoth. Its archangel is Hanael. Its planetary correspondence is Venus, and its color is emerald green. Netzach teaches the proper use of emotion and demonstrates that beauty itself can become a pathway toward the divine. Hod represents intellect, language, reason, analysis, communication, and symbolic understanding. It governs study, scholarship, logic, ritual structure, and the ability to organize and interpret information. Hod is the sphere through which knowledge is redefined and communicated. Its divine name is Elohim Zabaoth. Its archangel is Michael. Its planetary correspondence is Mercury, and its color is orange. Hod teaches that knowledge and intellectual understanding are valuable tools, but must ultimately be balanced with direct spiritual experience. Yesod. Yesod serves the bridge between the invisible spiritual worlds and physical reality. It governs dreams, imagination, psychic perception, symbolism, memory, and the subconscious mind. In many esoteric traditions, it is associated with the astral plane and the realm through which spiritual forces descend into manifestation. Yesod is often described as a treasury of images through which consciousness interacts with deeper realities. Its divine name is Shaddai El Chai. Its archangel is Gabriel. Its planetary correspondence is the moon, and its colors are violet, silver, and purple. Yesod teaches that visible world arises from invisible patterns and that consciousness shapes reality long before events appear in the material world. Malkuth represents the physical world, embodied existence, and the final stage of divine manifestation. It is the realm of practical experience, action, and material expression where all higher spiritual forces ultimately become tangible. Malkuth is not separate from the higher Sephiroth, but rather their final expression within the material universe. Its divine name is Adonai Haaretz. Its archangel is Sandalphon. Its planetary correspondence is Earth, and its colors include olive, citrine, russet, and black. Malkuth teaches that spirit and matter are not separate, but rather that the material world is the final expression of divine consciousness. The three pillars of the tree. The Sephiroth are arranged upon three pillars. The pillar of mercy contains Chokmah, Chesed, and Netzach, and represents expansion, creativity, compassion, growth, and abundance. The pillar of severity contains Binah, Geburah, Had, and represents structure, discipline, limitation, reason, and order. Between them stands the middle pillar containing Keter, Tiphereth, Yesod, and Malkut. The middle pillar represents balance, integration, harmony, and the direct path of spiritual awakening. One of the central teachings of Kabbalah is that enlightenment is found not in either extreme, but in the balanced integration of all forces within consciousness. The 22 paths. The journey between states of consciousness. While the Sephiroth represent states of consciousness, the 22 paths connecting them represent the processes of transformation that allow consciousness to move from one level to another. The paths reveal that spiritual growth is not instantaneous, but occurs through a set of initiations, lessons, challenges, and realizations. Each path symbolizes a stage of development through which the soul evolves. The initiate does not simply arrive at enlightenment, but gradually traverses the pathways connecting the various dimensions of consciousness represented by the tree. For this reason, many esoteric traditions place as much importance upon the paths as upon the Sephiroths themselves. Make sure I didn't skip. Okay, I didn't. The 22 paths correspond directly to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. In Kabbalah, Hebrew is not viewed merely as a language, but as a sacred system of creative forces through which the universe itself was formed. The Sefer Yetzirah teaches that creation emerged through the interaction of these 22 letters and the 10 Sephiroth. Each letter possesses symbolic, numerical, and spiritual significance. Each represents a unique vibration within creation and a specific mode through which divine consciousness expresses itself. For the Kabbalist, language itself becomes a sacred force, and the Hebrew alphabet becomes a map of the creative principles underlying reality. One of the most influential developments within Hermetic Kabbalah was the association of the 22 paths and the 22 major arcana of the tarot. While traditional Jewish Kabbalah does not utilize tarot, Western esoteric schools recognize that the major arcana mirrored the initiatory journey represented by the tree. Each card became associated with a specific Hebrew letter and specific path connecting the Sephiroth. The Fool symbolizes the soul beginning its journey, and the Magician represents conscious will. The High Priestess, hidden wisdom, death, transformation, the Tower, spiritual upheaval, and the World, completion and integration. Viewed through the Tree of Life, the tarot becomes far more than a divination system. It becomes a symbolic map of spiritual evolution and the stages of consciousness through which the initiate must pass. Kabbalah teaches that creation unfolds through 4 distinct worlds. These worlds describe the gradual condensation of divine consciousness into physical reality and provide another layer of understanding for both mystical experience and spiritual development. Absoluth, the world of emanation, is the highest world and exists closest to the divine. It is the realm of pure archetypal forces and divine consciousness before form arises. Then there's Bria, the world of creation. It is the realm of archetypes, archangels, and the first emergence of individuality. It is the world in which divine ideas begin to take shape. Yetzirah, the world of formation, is the realm of angels, symbols, emotions, imaginations, and subtle forms. Here, archetypal patterns become organized and prepared for manifestation. Asaya, the world of action, is the physical universe in which material manifestation occurs. It is the world of matter, action, and embodied experience. Together, these 4 worlds describe how consciousness descends into matter and how spiritual development retraces that journey in reverse. One of the most important symbols within Kabbalah is the lightning flash. The lightning flash represents the descent of divine consciousness from Keter into Malkut. Beginning at Keter, divine energy flows through Chakma, then Banah, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiphareth, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and finally Malkut. This pattern illustrates the unfolding of creation itself. It demonstrates that the infinite becomes finite, how spirit becomes matter, and how divine consciousness gradually condenses into physical reality. The lightning flash is therefore a map of manifestation and the process through which the universe emerges from the divine. If the lightning flash represents the descent into manifestation, the serpent path represents the return journey. The serpent winds upward through the tree, symbolizing the ascent of consciousness and the process of spiritual awakening. The initiate begins in Malkut, identified primarily with physical reality and the personality. Through study, practice, contemplation, and transformation, consciousness gradually ascends through the tree. Each sephira represents lessons to be integrated and limitations to be transcended. The serpent path teaches that enlightenment is not a single event, but a gradual unfolding in which the soul awakens to its deeper nature and ultimately returns to conscious union with the divine. As students begin studying Kabbalah, it is important to understand that there are several distinct streams within the tradition. Traditional Jewish Kabbalah emerged within Judaism and focuses upon scripture, prayer, contemplation, ethical refinement, divine names, and mystical union with God. Its purpose is spiritual transformation within the framework of Jewish religious life. During the Renaissance, Christian scholars became fascinated with Kabbalistic teachings and adapted them into what became known as Christian Kabbalah. Christian Kabbalists interpreted the Tree of Life through Christian theology and sought connections between Kabbalistic symbolism and Christian mysticism. Later, Hermetic Kabbalah emerged within the Western mystery tradition. Hermetic practitioners integrated the Tree of Life with astrology, tarot, alchemy, angelology, sacred geometry, and ceremonial magic. While the symbolism expanded significantly, the central purpose remained spiritual transformation and the pursuit of divine wisdom. As Kabbalah entered the Western esoteric tradition, it gradually became the foundation of ceremonial magic. High magicians discovered that the Tree of Life provided a universal framework through which all spiritual systems could be organized. Astrology, tarot, alchemy, angelic hierarchies, planetary forces, sacred geometry, and the mystical states of consciousness could all be placed upon the tree and understood as expressions of a unified spiritual structure. For the ceremonial magician, the tree of life serves as both a map of the universe and a map of initiation. Every ritual, invocation, planetary working, and spiritual exercise can be understood through the framework of the tree. Rather than viewing it as a diagram, the magician experiences it as a living architecture underlying reality itself. Many initiatory traditions use the tree of life as a complete curriculum for spiritual development. Each sephira represents a stage of growth, and each path represents a lesson to be mastered. Early stages focus upon self-discipline, self-observation, emotional balance, and purification of the personality. As development continues, the initiate seeks greater harmony between the lower aspects of the self and the higher aspects of the soul. This process culminates in Tiphereth, the sphere associated with the higher self. Within many Western esoteric traditions, attainment within Tiphereth is associated with knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel. This does not necessarily refer to the literal angelic being, but the direct contact with the deepest spiritual intelligence guiding the soul's evolution. It represents one of the great milestones upon the initiatory path because it aligns the personality with its higher purpose. Beyond Tiphereth lies the supernal Sephiroth of Binah, Chokmah, and Keter. Here, the focus shifts from personal transformation towards direct realization of universal consciousness. The initiate gradually transcends duality and moves toward the direct experience of divine unity. One of the primary ways practitioners engage with Kabbalah is through meditation. A student may focus upon a specific sephira, contemplate its symbols, visualize its colors, invoke its archangel, meditate upon its divine name, or reflect upon its lessons. Through sustained contemplation, the practitioner gradually begins to embody the consciousness represented by the sphere. Rather than merely learning about Tiphereth intellectually, for example, the student seeks to experience its harmony, balance, and solar awareness directly. Another important practice within Western esoteric traditions is pathworking. During pathworking, the practitioner symbolically journeys the tree using visualization, meditation, and imagination. The initiate encounters archetypal symbols, spiritual lessons, and states of consciousness associated with specific paths and sephira. Pathworking transforms the tree from an abstract diagram into a living inner landscape through which spiritual development can occur. It allows the student to experience the teachings of the tree directly rather than simply studying them intellectually. One of the most famous practical techniques derived from the Tree of Life is the middle pillar exercise. Developed within the Western mystery tradition, this exercise uses the central column of the tree as a framework for spiritual alignment and development. The practitioner visualizes spheres of divine light corresponding to Kether, Tiphereth, Yesod, and Malkuth while vibrating divine names associated with each center. The purpose is not merely energetic stimulation, but alignment of the personality, soul, and higher spiritual consciousness. For many ceremonial magicians, the middle pillar exercise serves as a daily foundation for both mystical development and magical practice. The Tree of Life can also be viewed as one of the earliest systems of spiritual psychology. The Sephiroth provide a framework for understanding strengths, weaknesses, imbalances, and developmental challenges within the human psyche. Excessive emotionality may indicate an imbalance in Netzach. Excessive intellectualization may reflect an overemphasis of Hod. Lack of discipline may reveal an underdeveloped Gevura. Long before modern psychology emerged, Kabbalists were using the Tree of Life to explore consciousness, behavior, personal growth, and transformation. When viewed from its highest perspective, Kabbalah is not merely a system of correspondences, a mystical philosophy, or magical framework. Its ultimate purpose is the transformation of consciousness. And the tree of life reveals how divine consciousness descends into limitation and how consciousness awakens from limitation. It explains how the infinite becomes the finite and how the finite may consciously return to the infinite. Whether approached through Jewish mysticism, Christian mysticism, Hermetic philosophy, ceremonial magic, meditation, psychology, or spiritual development, the essential goal remains the same: to know oneself, to know the divine, and ultimately to realize that these are not separate pursuits. The student begins to study the tree of life as a diagram. Over time, they discover that the tree is a map of their own consciousness. Eventually, they come to understand that the journey through the tree is not the journey through space, but a journey through the layers of the soul itself. For this reason, Kabbalah remains one of the most influential and enduring spiritual systems in human history. It is not merely a body of knowledge to be memorized, but a living path of transformation. The tree of life serves as both a map and a mirror, revealing the structure of the cosmos while simultaneously revealing the structure of the soul. What first appears to be a diagram of the universe gradually reveals itself to be a map of the divine unfolding within the human being. In this realization lies the true heart of Kabbalah and the reason it continues to guide mystics, philosophers, initiates, and seekers of wisdom to this day. Okay, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. I always get really excited talking about Kabbalah because, I'm so deep into it and I've been studying it for years and I love it. It is to me, it's the most comprehensive system that explains kind of everything. It covers like a broad section of esoteric study. So, okay, so I have the Zohar and the Sefer Yetzirah coming up next, and I will see you guys then. Thanks for sticking around. Bye.